What's going on, YouTube? Got another knife video for you. We're looking at the Liong Mah design, and this is the new GSD, or in other words, get shit done, stuff done, whatever you want to say. And I have been eyeing this one for a long time, this design in particular. When it was made by CRKT, I liked the design, but I didn't like the materials and the heavy stainless steel handles. So when it came out with the mid-tech version, I really wanted to get my hands on one, and I was able to handle this one, well, not this exact one, but one like this at Blade HQ, and I really liked it. And at the time, I had a hard time deciding between this and the Arc Form Slim Foot that I bought and did the review on, and I chose the Slim Foot mostly because it was a brand new knife, new company, and the price was quite a bit better. So that's one thing we'll get to on this one, is the price. But before we do that, let's go ahead and, well, we can talk a little bit about that. So when I was looking at the Arc Form and the GSD at the same time, and sorry, I'm getting like text messages from my kids. The one thing that stood out to me is that they were very, very similar in a lot of ways. Same materials, you know, same steel, very similar. I mean, all kinds of things. One made by, well, both made by Riat Knives out of China, but one was $350 and this one was $425, and I had a hard time wrapping my head around that. Why it was more expensive. So my thought is, well, I'm just getting this out at the beginning of the video, I guess, instead of towards the end, is it's the design name. It's the name Liong Mah versus Jeff from Tough Knives, who's a relatively, I mean, he's been around for a few years now, making really nice customs. But Liong Mah's been around for a long time, designing knives, and I'm guessing that's the reason why. That's my best understanding, anyway, of why this one would be $75 more when it's using the exact same materials and made by the same company, and made in China, and all that. And we're going to get to that in a little bit of, why did I not buy it at the time versus I waited till the secondary market. Well, that's because it was quite a bit more expensive, and I didn't think it was worth it, but I thought it wasn't a great value, and that's one of the things we'll talk about. So before we do that, though, let's get into the specs. Nice flipper on bearings there. You got a 3.375-inch blade with a 3.375 cutting inch. They did leave a little bit of a sharpening area. I'm not going to call it a Ricasa or a choil, but there's a little bit there. Closed length is 4.5 inches, which is a nice size. Overall length is 7.75. CPM S35VN steel. Blade thickness is 0.157, pretty thin blade. Drop point with a hollow grind, satin finish, and you have someone called it orange peel, but I've seen it listed as a wire wheel titanium finish. To me it looks like orange peel as well, but wire wheel kind of makes sense as well. Your handle thickness is 0.56 inches. It's kind of thicker in the handle, not bad. It's a bolster lock, which essentially is a frame lock, but you can see here that the lock is here part of the bolster, and then you have the carbon fiber inlay, but it is a full piece of titanium. It's essentially like we'll call it a bolster lock. It is on I guess, like I said, bearings, tip up, carry on the clip. You can switch it to the other side. Here there is like a little filler, we'll call it. And your weight is 4.2 ounces, so it's a nice, overall a really good size. One of my kind of my favorite size, and a good weight, right around 4 ounces. Not to sound like nothing fancy, I can't carry anything over 4 ounces, but I typically don't these days. That's just how it is. So I can totally understand where he's coming from on that. So those are the basic specs on that. So the action on this guy, and again, the steel S35, no problems there. Tons of knives in it. Everyone's using it. It's a good steel. It's inexpensive, and I think that's why everyone's using it. Riat tends to do a good heat treat on theirs, and so does some of the other Chinese companies like Kaiser and Wee. They actually have a little bit better edge retention on their heat treat versus a Christopher Reeve or a ZT. So, but it's a good steel and I like it. No big deals there. That is one of my qualms of this knife though, for the price. We'll get to that again towards the end. The action is very nice. It's on bearings. The flipper, see, it's very smooth. The flipper is kind of hidden. It's recessed, I would call it. So you gotta give it that push button. It's kind of hard to light switch it because you can miss it. So you just want to kind of do the push button. You can also use this thumb opening, thumb hole, we're gonna call it. It's definitely not like a spire hole. It reminds me of the Browse Division. I think was one of the first knives I've seen this. But it's not, well, there you go. Middle finger flick works. It's not 100%, as you can see there, reliable though. It's the hole is kind of recessed into the frame a little bit, so it makes it a little difficult. Now you can do a slow roll once you break that detent with your thumb and open that, but my preferred method on this knife is going to be the flipper. Definitely. The pocket clip on this guy is solid. It is titanium. It is one of Liong Mah's pocket clips, and I had that one video about, I can't remember the name of the actual knife, but the clip was kind of bad and it ruined it. It was way too high. I feel like he's moved it down a little bit and it does not create a hot spot. I mean, your typical clip's going to be more towards here on a knife, so it is up a little higher, but I've noticed on this knife there's no hot spots or anything caused by that. Carries nicely in the pocket. The clip is not too stiff. It has some spring to it. It's got a good gap there between the handle scale, so it's not a big deal to carry this one at all. Carries nicely. The ergonomics on this knife are actually quite good. I don't feel any hot spots. It's very comfortable in hand. You can see I have a medium glove, and it is kind of a medium to small size knife. I like this size. This is pretty awesome. I don't think we need anything bigger than this, but that's just my opinion. But there is no hot spots. It does feel great in the hand, both grips here. And you do notice the pocket clip a little bit in this grip. I just marked up that, just dug my blade into that. But overall, good ergonomics. Not like mind-blowing ergonomics, but good. They're good. They're solid. The design on this knife is exceptional. It's awesome. It flows very nicely. Liong Mah is a very good designer. I've always liked a lot of his designs. The design is really nice. I like the bolster lock. I like the carbon fiber inlay. It has one with I think it's white micarta or ivory or something in it. It's called the Tuxedo. I liked that one as well. It's kind of hard choosing, but I ended up going with the carbon fiber. Well, it's because I found a good deal on it, more than anything. It's a visually attractive knife. It has good flow, as far as the design's concerned. I don't have any qualms at all about the design, really. Well, there is one thing, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. The pocket clip filler is odd to me. I get it, so you can switch the clip. Totally makes sense. So it's more of an ambidextrous knife. Ambidextrous. Anyway. But the nut that they used it's not flush. It sits up pretty high. I mean, you can see it there on the frame, and that's probably necessary as far as the handle goes. But I don't know. I feel like they could have done a better job on the filler. That's a small nitpicky thing, but it kind of ruins the flow of the knife a little bit, and you feel that like it's nice and smooth, then your finger kind of feels that, and it's not a huge deal at all. And I'm sure the lefties will love it because they can use this knife, but overall, that's one thing I didn't like about it as far as the design goes. Other than that, I can't think of anything else on that. Oh, the jimping. So the jimping is a little too aggressive. It looks nice. It's good design-wise, and it's not bad. It's very effective for one thing, but it's kind of sharp. It's not bad, but you kind of feel it. It's more sharp than it needs to be. Let's put it that way. Fit and finish is really good. It's a Riot-made knife. It's gonna have good fit and finish. You don't have to worry about that with Riot. However, one thing for the price, if it's a $425 knife, which is the list price on this, it's got some sharp edges in weird places that I'm not a fan of, and one of them being a place that you're going to use a lot, and that is this thumb opening hole. And well, the jimping we've already talked about. The thumb opening hole it's kind of sharp. I'm going to be honest with you. You really feel it in your finger, and it's kind of odd to me because they put it there as an opening method. Why would they have not have smoothed that out to make it so it's not so sharp? I mean, it's not going to cut you, but it definitely pinches your finger, your skin a little bit. When you put your finger in there to use the flick or to even a slow roll there, you're going to really feel it. I mean, it bites into your skin, which is not, you know, necessarily, maybe that's designed that way to open it easier with it, but you can definitely feel it, and my fingernail gets all jacked up by doing the middle finger flick on this side. So that is one qualm I have with fit and finish on this knife, is that whole, I feel like for this price, there shouldn't be any sharp edges. It should be pretty rounded and smooth. And for the most part it is. The bolsters are, I mean, the carbon fiber inlay is super well done. Carbon fiber is beautiful on the knife. It's just a really nice carbon fiber. There's no like unnecessary gaps in the carbon fiber. It's all very even. Your blade, your bevel is nice and even. The grind is nice and even. So, I mean, those things they do really, really well on. So that's kind of a nitpickier thing, but I feel like at this price range, you're not going to find that. And when I say that, like you're looking at a Chris Reeve knife, you're not going to find any sharp edges anywhere. It's all very rounded. You know, you're just not going to discover that on a Sebenza. Same with the Hinderer. You're in the same price range here, guys. And these are both US made knives, something to consider as well in that price. But nice and smooth, no sharp edges, very rounded, just, you know, very attention to detail that you're going to expect out of a Hinderer or a Chris Reeve knife. And I think at this price point, you should expect that and demand that. Here's a Sherry Gorov Neon Ultralight, same thing. Not going to find any sharp points anywhere. I mean, that's a little bit more expensive knife, and it's not in the frame. But here's the Grayman Dua, and these are good for size comparisons too, just to let you know. It's about the same size as the Dua, a little bit bigger than the small Sebenza. That is a small. The Dua is a $300 knife, and it doesn't have sharp edges anywhere. It's very, I mean, very rounded, very smooth everywhere it should be. So that's kind of one thing to think about when you're paying that much. You're expecting that, and again, that's another, you know, where another issue arises. Let's look at that MP1. I think it's about exactly the same size as the MP1. It is very, very close to the same. So there's some size comparisons for you too. But again, that's kind of my qualm here, is that for this money you're getting, and I'm being nitpicky, but you know what? It's a $400+ knife. You can be nitpicky on a $400+ knife, especially one made overseas. And we know that Riot is an exceptional maker. Don't take that the wrong way. And they make knives nicer than a lot of U.S. manufacturers, Benchmade. But was that a cough or was that deliberate? But their pricing is high. I mean, we know the cost of making a knife is less in China than it is in the United States. Period. There's no arguing that. They're using the same material. It's not like they're using M390 or some crazy other, you know, Maximid or some kind of nice steel. I mean, this is using S35. This is using S35, and they're made in the U.S. and they're about the same price. Now we're gonna go even less money. The Dua, made in the USA, 20 CV steel, better steel, and it's $100 and something less than this knife. Another knife that comes to mind is the ZT, oh, tons of ZTs in this price range. Fit and finish wise, this is higher than a lot of ZTs. I would maybe say like the new 850, which is about $100+ less than this one. Better materials, or same materials minus the better steel on the 850. So my point is that I feel like this is priced a little high. That's why I didn't buy it. The arc form, again, so similar in so many ways. $100 or $75 less was an easier choice over this one. I waited till I could find this on the secondary market and purchase it for a much better price. Much, much better. I mean, more in line with the arc form. So, we know that We Knives, also another OEM in China that makes exceptionally good knives, exceptionally good fit and finish, they don't sell a knife over $300. I don't believe so. When Riot came on the scene, their knives were like $200 or $250, maybe $3. You rarely saw one. Now they're like just reaching out there for pricing. And again, the quality is there, but you know, I feel like they're just a little overpriced for the country of origin, and sometimes, and I say sometimes, the materials used. If this knife had M390 or, you know, 204P or 20CV, I could see being the price a little bit higher. And again, some of the, you know, the nitpicky things about the fit and finish, for that price, you're looking at those things. So you know, every knife is always compared to the Sebenza, and to me, the Chris Reeve is the pinnacle of knife making, and they've won the manufacturing award more than anyone, I swear, lately. I don't know what's up with Lion still win or everything. No comment. But they don't hold a candle to Chris Reeve. The Hinderer is another one that I personally think is top of the game in fit and finish, and along with Chris Reeve. And again, you're in the same price range on all three of these knives, so take that into consideration when you're looking at this knife. I wouldn't pay the retail price. I would wait and get one for a good deal on the secondary market, which is what I did, and I'm happy with it. I really enjoy the knife, but I feel like they're just overstepped on the pricing on this one, especially when you have other Chinese-made knives like the Arcform, the Wies knives, the Kaiser knives. Again, Kaiser really hasn't put anything out this nice before. Theirs is mostly basic, you know, titanium with S35. I mean, that's kind of like Kaiser's thing, and that's great because they're really value-minded knives, and they should be. So, but the Wii has been doing this stuff and charging a lot less money. So I don't know how they can do it. I don't know. Again, I think a lot has to do with the designer and what kind of royalties and things they're being paid on this knife, and then I think they help set this price point. And that's their living, and I'm not telling them that they shouldn't do that, but that's the only reason why I'm guessing that is more expensive than like the Arcform or the Wii and things of that nature. So anyway, ran over on that, and I kind of skipped around a little bit. Cutting ability, it's a great slicer, the hollow grind. It's very sharp. I haven't used it a ton as far as cutting, just your basic EDC tasks, but it's done well in what I've asked of it. Value, we've already covered that, not going to go into that. And your overall use, I'm going to say it's definitely a good EDC knife. I like the size. It can be used as a gentleman's folder as well. It's a little big and heavy on that end, but it could pull it off because it's, you know, such a nice looking knife. Good overall office knife. You know, overall a fantastic knife, guys. I just think that it should have been priced about $100 to $150 less than it was. So that's my take on the Liong Mah GSD. I'd like to hear your comments below on what you think about that. I know, like I'm saying, no doubt in my mind, Riot makes an exceptional knife, and this is another example of that. So I'd like to hear your comments. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you on the next one.